Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. Okay, as you can see, we have lots of snow. We are still snowed in, so not a whole lot we're doing because we're just inside. Can't go anywhere, can't do anything. So I've been making my grocery list, been doing those kind of things. The kids are out sledding. Husband's trying to get out of the driveway, going a little crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Crazy being in the house. I don't even know when we'll get out. It's just impossible to shovel because it is heavy and wet snow. So I don't know. They got a little bit, they're doing a little bit at a time. Everybody's taking turns going out shoveling. So hopefully this warm weather will melt some of it. So today I thought I'd do a little Q&A. It's going to be one of the last ones that I do from my 25,000 subscriber giveaway. And then I probably will do a 50,000 subscriber something special because that is going to be coming up real soon, probably the next month or two. So I was going through my list and I was thinking, okay, what questions do I still have? And the rest are mostly videos that people wanted, I think, if I got everything correctly. So I'm going to go through and answer those questions for you now. Okay, one of the questions was, how do I mentor relationships with adult children? And I think that's a very important thing because sometimes people think that once you fly the coop, you know, you're 18, you're out of here and you're on your own and you do your thing. But those years are like the most important, one of the most important. I know that when they're younger, they're real important, but as they get older, it's a really important time because those are like their formation of when they're making life decisions, you know, they're doing their thing. Some of them, you know, sometimes they go through, like I know they'll go through and they make decisions that you don't think is very wise and very good. And instead of like being the controlling parent at the time, oh, you're gonna do this, you're gonna screw up your life, blah, 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 blah. Yes, tell them if they're really doing something bad. But sometimes we have to let them do their own mistakes so that they can, you know, fall and learn from them and become better out of the situation is what you hope. And so I know for mine, it's like, you just have to keep loving. You got to keep loving. You got to keep encouraging. Even when they're telling you things that they're doing and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're saying these things to me right now. And you're like, you just have to encourage and love and be there to listen because most of the time they just want someone to talk to. They want to try to figure it out maybe in their own brain. They might just need to communicate it with words to try to figure everything out and get it out until they can get the answers that they need. And so I've just learned, I know the first few times my kids would tell me, it was more like the shock and all, and it just like, oh, and I'd get all mad and just tell them, oh, you need to do this and you need to not do that and that's going to ruin you, this and that. And I realized that doesn't get anywhere with them. It just puts a wedge between them, just like you and I know myself, I don't like being told what to do. And so when someone does that to you, you just put up a wall because you don't want to hear it. But if you just encourage and you love no matter what, you'd be surprised at the outcomes that will happen. And so I've just seen it a lot of times with friends and, you know, teenagers that grow up and they hit that age 18 and they're ready to be like independent someone, and even though they're not really ready to be independent, but they want to be on their own, and you just see them wanting to make things, and sometimes they're decisions that you don't think is like, okay, is this going to be a good thing? But I just know that you just have to love and you have to encourage, and you know they have to probably figure things out for their own, just like I know you and I did for our lives as well. And so that's something important to do, is really make the time, you know, especially to invest, like if they're not with you or they're away and they've moved out, they've done their thing, just keep sending encouraging texts to them. Keep sending them things that, you know, even if though you don't really feel it because you're so angry inside, you still send those loving texts to them and just, you know what, I'm praying for you. I hope you have a great day today. All those things. Keep doing those things because those are what's going to encourage them. Those are the people, even though they might not say anything to you right then and there and respond back like they really care, later on they might. Okay, the next question people said, or someone asked, how to mother teenage girls in our society. And that was one of those. It is so tough because our society is so bombarding on women and girls to dress a certain way, to act a certain way. You know, if you don't get attention this way, no one's gonna like you, and all those peer pressure, all that stuff is just garbage. It is so much garbage. And I know my girlfriend put on a purity program, and I was so thankful for my daughters to be part of it. It was all based on like that book, A Princess and a Kiss, and they started when they were younger, and it really taught them about saving their kiss for their marriage. And so sometimes this is foreign for most people to hear this, and I know it's foreign for me because I did not abide by to these things. But I look back and I think of all the regrets in my life, if I could have saved myself completely, like kissing and heart and hand holding, all that stuff for my husband, what an awesome gift that could be. Now some people can disagree. Some people say, no, you got to try people out, you got to do all these things, you got to try to figure out. But every time you give yourself away emotionally like that to someone, it's like you make that heart connection, and part of your heart is gone. And so when you're doing that to a bunch of different guys and a bunch of different you know, men, things like that, it's like when you finally do become with your husband, a lot of it has been given away to other people, and also with your husband, a lot of it has been given away to other women. And so that's the one thing that you can never get back. Yes, God forgives, God does all those things, but inside it, you kind of feel like you wish you would have. And so if I would have had any regrets, that would have been my, you know, one of my regrets in life is that I didn't complete, that I would have abided by this whole purity message, which I don't even know about, that I'm trying to teach my kids. Will they abide by it? I don't know. So maybe they will, maybe they won't. They're gonna have to do their own thing in life. We don't condemn it to them. We don't say you do this or you're gonna, you know, be out of the family. No, we share it with them. We share why we do these things, and it's gonna be their decision whether to do it or not, but that's what we're molding them to. I try to share with them about, you know, when you like dating and relationship with boys, it's like, what is the importance of dating in school? It's like, why do we need a boyfriend? You know, we don't need a boyfriend in school. We don't need those things right now. We're definitely not mature. They're not mature. And so when you're like 18, you're much older and you're ready to become married, you're ready to make decisions like that in your life, that is the time to start looking for a relationship like a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. So far as dating, it's like I try to teach them that every time that they do that, they give part of their heart away to somebody. And so does that mean my kids won't date? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. That's going to be their choice whether they do that or what they do. But when they're up to, like before they're 18, I feel like that's just, you know, they might have a girl interest or a boy interest and might want to become friends. My goal is to encourage them to become good friends. That would be the first thing, because I want them to see like what type of person that they would be potentially dating, potentially be marrying. And so like I know from my girls, it's like, okay, well, get to know this person, get to see like what they're like with their friends, get to see what they're like when they're stressed, get to see what they're like, you know, in tough situations, and hang out as a group so you can find out and learn, because they're gonna be super sweet and really good when it's just you and them. And so see what they're like as a group, see what they're like, and then if that's something, you know, you want to pursue more, it's like then, you know, find time to spend time together, do that. But, you know, avoiding the whole like date where they're alone, where there's temptation for, you know, sexualness and all that, because I want them to be pure, because those hormones are flying, those things are all going, and they're going to want to be tempted to do things. And so trying to encourage that so that they can avoid all that, because I'd hate for them to make a decision and have something bad happen to it just because of, you know, a one night impulse reaction. So that's what we do for our girls, and I really teach them about modesty. I try to, and share, you know, about covering ourselves, and it's not for, because, you know, yes, guys, they are accountable to God for what they do, but also like what kind of attention that brings upon you. And yes, I feel like you should have a right, girls should be able to do whatever they want, but if they are going out dressing and like showing every parts of their body, it's like they're just not leaving anything personable. It's like that's time for, you know, with the person they're gonna marry, there are things like that. You know, I know my husband would not want me flashing my body off to people that, you know, for the world to see. So we just try to really encourage that. I want them to see, you know, how their daddy treats their mom, so that they can see that that's the kind of guy they want for their, you know, their spouse, to show that, you know, daddy's not looking at other people and all these other women and all these other things. I want them to know that their heart is valued. I want them to know that they are worth something so much waiting for, you know, to be able to go on your wedding day or you're with your husband and be able to say, you know what, I saved my heart for you. I saved my first kiss for you. I saved my sexualness for you. I mean, that's an awesome thing. I know it's hard in society. I know it's impossible sometimes, and people might look at people like the Duggar home and the Bates home, and I know there was controversy with them and whatever. But you look at that ideals and it's like, why did they do that? Why did they do those things? It's because they want their spouse to be pure. It's like, what an awesome gift. Could you imagine if you'd be able to say to your husband, I've saved my heart just for you? Or knowing you did, but your husband didn't. And then go, wow, you've already said all these things to another woman. And wow, you've already done all these things with another woman. And you've given yourself to somebody else. I mean, it's just one of those things that you just can't get back. And so trying to instill that in them, just like everything else we try to instill in our children, is it going to be for sure? I don't know. It's not going to be, that's not for me to decide, because this is their life. But that's the kind of morals and values we're going to try to put into our children, because I want them to know why they do those things. I want them to know why God says these things, you know, why there's reasons for all these things that God puts in the Bible, and to try to instill those in the kids as well. And so that's something we just really try to do. We try to really build our girls up. We try to really share and let them know how special and important they are, you know, how much their daddy loves them, and how much, you know, they're valued, and how much they're worth. And so they're not going off looking for that attention from other boys, because a lot of girls, teenage girls, they miss that from their dad, and so they go out looking for it in other men, and that's how they get their worth and their love and their attention. So it's just our world. And so that is something we try to instill in our girls. It's like I said, it's one of those things that they are bombarded in movies, they are bombarded in music, they are bombarded in their teens and peers around them. So trying to encourage that, trying to do that, having friends that have the same values is a huge factor in helping that. If you don't, it's kind of a hard thing to, like, you want to push this way, but if nobody else is doing it, guess what? It's going to be really hard for them to stay on that ground. Not impossible, but difficult. So getting them encouraged with other friends their age that have the same kind of things is a wonderful thing to do. And also getting them to go out there and experience, like I know in church, like my girls are with boys in group. You know, they have separate girl and boy groups, but they do get to mingle with other guys as a group and just get to see, because that's important for them to grow those relationships and to see how they act and to see what they do. And those are all good, positive, healthy things for teenagers. So, and another one question was how to raise God-fearing boys. Like, how do they treat women with respect and how God wants us to act. And so that's going to come down to having a good role model male in your son's life. And not impossible, because there are a lot of single moms out there, and that's one of those things that you just take it to the Lord and you say, Lord, I need some kind of positive role model for my sons in my life, because boys are going to get a lot from their moms. They definitely can get that a lot from their moms if you share with them things, but they're going to learn the best from another male doing that. So if you are a single mom and you don't have that, you know, I would be seeking out churches, I would be seeking out other mentors, you know, friends of the family, things like that, that they can, you know, help mentor your sons and things like that. I know for my boys, it's like they see a lot of how my husband treats me, and also I want them to see how I treat my husband, because my boys are going to be able to, I want them to look at me and go, that's the kind of wife I want. That's the kind of woman I want to have, is one that's going to honor me and going to respect me and is going to build me up and do those things. And, you know, my husband will constantly say, isn't your mother beautiful? Isn't your mother so? And I was like, honey, stop. And he's the wonderful man with words. Like I said, honey, you should write cards because you're so good with your words. He's just very artistic and does those good things. I'm just very like simple and plain and like, yeah, I love you, you know, but he's got all these wonderful words with. He said, just because we're two different people, that's okay. And so he always will say that. He's like, don't your mother look beautiful? Doesn't your mother look beautiful? She looks 10 times prettier than the day I married her. She looks even better. He'll say all these things, but he does this in front of our children. And so you know, it's good for our kids to see, because I want them to see the kind of man, like for my girls to see the kind of man that they should want to have as a husband, and for my boys to see what kind of women they should have in their wives. And I want them to see one that's going to be honoring, one that's going to be lifting up, and one that's going to be encouraging. You know, it doesn't mean we're perfect. No, that doesn't mean we're perfect and we're still bad, but I want them to see someone that's still going to support, even when maybe they're not being at their best, but still encouraging and supporting, things like that. So that's something hugely important, and just teaching them respect, you know, when they're seeing when they're walking in the mall and they're seeing girls scantily dressed, or they're seeing the stuff in the stores, just say, hey, you know, we don't need to look at that. Or I know, like when you see there's commercials, because there's apps and there's commercials and everything with girls that are improperly dressed, I always tell my boys, you know, we don't want to look at that, so look away from that. And because it's important too, because boys are just built, they're drawn to women, they're drawn to looking at girls, and so natural part of life. And so trying to teach them that, look at, just don't avoid looking at that. You don't want to be doing those sort of things. And so keeping themselves as well pure, and that goes for, you know, so all those things are good things to try to encourage. It's like I said, it's one of those things that our society does not push for our boys or our young women, and so it's one of those things that you have to try to help work in their lives, and you have to use situations. And when you see them mistreat a girl, like in a movie, or they do things, it's a good opportunity to talk about that. What are they, you know, how are they treating that person? Is that a good thing? And then you always need to share about those things with your kids and talk and say, you know what, you need to respect women, you need to respect them even though they're not your girlfriend. I always told my kids, like the day when they were wanting their crushes and they're wanting their things, I said, think about it, and like your best friend, and here's this girl that you really like. What if you dated her? What if you dated her? What if you took her kiss? What if you did all these things with her? And then guess what? What if you didn't end up marrying her? What if she ended up marrying your best friend? So every time you were together and they were married, it's going to be one of those weird situations, because you already had sex with her, you already had kissed her, it's going to be one of those weird situations. So I always really tried to share, just make sure that you know that you're praying about the person you want to marry, praying about the situation, praying for your spouse, all those things. That helps for parents to be able to do that on your own, praying for your child's spouse. I know that we've done that since a young age, you know, that God would bring them young, that God would bring them, you know, God would bring them God-fearing individuals that really were on fire for the Lord, and that we're going to encourage them and love them as they should. And so helping them recognize that, teaching them to pray for things like that. And then when they do come across a situation that they like someone, and to like, okay, well, let's get to know this person a little bit more, so they can kind of see the person that they really are. So that's just what we do in our home. And then someone asked me about a marriage video, and I thought that would be an awesome thing to do, like with my husband one day when things, and I thought, well, how is something I can encourage someone? And I just had to think about this for a minute. And I thought, you know what, I think with marriages, with all everything is work, and I've shared that in my video with my husband. And I just thought, one thing you really need to do is forgive. And no matter what situation, because it could be anything that comes up in your marriage, it's like the moment that you choose not to forgive is when that seed of bitterness grows inside. And guess what? That grows and grows and grows, and everything might be going great in your life, and you might think you've forgotten about it, but then something else happens, and that wall is put up with your husband, and then it's there. And then as soon as he does something again, it hurts you, and you don't want to deal with it anymore. And so that bitterness is growing more and more and more, and it gets to anger, and it just festers and gets huge. And so I think it's so important to remember to forgive, and forgive quickly, because the more you let it grow and the more you let it wait, it just builds up, and Satan is just sitting there going, keep it on, remember all the things he did to you, remember all the things he said to you. And so it's really important to forgive and move on, be done with it. You know, God doesn't hold that over our heads. When we do something wrong and we go to God, you know, with a repentant heart and ask for forgiveness, he forgives like that. He forgives like that, and it's done and over. He doesn't bring up anymore, it's finished. We bring it up. And so the same thing with our spouse. It's like, instead of just, you know, oh, I'm not gonna forgive him, how horrible, I can't believe he treated me that way, I can't believe he said those things. You can do all those things, and you know what, I've done them myself a million times, and guess what, it didn't do anything but just drive a wedge further and further in our marriage. And the one thing I've learned over the years is that if you forgive quickly and move on, it's so much better for your relationship. And it's like, and it's not that you're just not looking at things, you're not doing these things, because you're also praying for your spouse, you're praying for them. I've seen God do so much more than I could have done in any kind of thing in my husband. And because I've tried doing the changing of my husband, you know, I tried making him my own way. It did not work. So I had to let God do a lot of that. And so once, I think I remember way back in the day getting the book Praying for Your Spouse by Stormy O. Martin, long time ago. I'm sure she still has that book, and just really going through that. And I was like, that was a really good thing to do. And it's like just letting go of, like, you know, letting God do those things. And that's when it's so important to do that. It's like, that's when you got to start working on yourself, because when you have issues and you're getting hurt, if your husband's saying things to you that is just really, you know, making you feel hurtful and painful, more likely there's some wounds inside of you. And so it might be, you know, offense you're taking, it might be all these things that you grew up with, and so they're finally manifesting when your husband says something to cut you down, or whatever the situation may be. So it's really important to work on yourself. That's why I share my book, When the Clouds Roll In, because all those things, and we didn't have the perfect marriage, but I realized I had to work on a whole lot of things myself. I thought I was perfect. No, I'm not perfect. And so I realized that there was a whole lot of my past that I had to work through. So in that book, I got that link in the description below. It is free. You can go download it and go through the entire book, and just go through the steps of all the things to work on in your life. And that will help you set you free from so many things, so many things. And then when your husband and you do have a fight, or your husband and you might say choice words to each other, realizing that, you know what, the things he says doesn't hurt me, it does not affect me, and then you can forgive much more quickly, you're able to move on. You know, those are just things that you really, really have to do. And then those things get better over time, and you just realize how foolish and dumb you are, and you're like, why am I doing these things? And you grow up, you mature. It's all those things. We've done it so many times in our marriage. My husband and I are #1 at fighting, yay. So, no, we're not, I'm just kidding. But we have learned, we've got some good fights in there. We're both very strong-willed people, but we've learned, you know, that, you know, instead of going for a week of not talking, it's just a couple hours, and then we're like, okay, let's move on. This is silly. Let's just move on with our life. Let's deal with the situation, and we'll go forward. And so that's something huge, forgiving quickly. And so, and controlling your tongue. It's so hard when someone gets mad and says something first right away, but you just want to snap back and yell and right away because you want to be hurt. So learning not to do that. And so controlling your tongue, controlling your anger, just as we are to do it, just as, even though your spouse may not be doing it to you, but you doing it back to them. And sometimes it's hard. I think of myself, I'm going to control my tongue, I'm not going to do it. And then they might say something, you might say something more, it just irks me, and I just snap, and I'll just say something too. And I'm like, if I realize that if I can just hear the Holy Spirit telling me, be quiet, remain calm, just don't even say it, don't even go there, and I will. And then I'm like, I know, and then it's just a huge blow up. Where if I just would have been, my reaction was a positive one or a much more calm one, his reaction is going to be a whole lot calmer. But if I'm ready to yup out at him, guess what? His reaction is going to be yup back too. And most of the time it's just because he's having a bad moment, or he's having something that he's dealing with, and it's not really me, it's just something else going on in his life, but I'm the one right here, so I'm the one that gets the brunt of it. And that happens so much. And so it's just, and that's learning and growing. That's learning and growing and maturing yourself as a Christian. It's like, we should not be flipping off at people really quick. We shouldn't be, you know, jumping off the handle and when we're ready to attack people. It's like, we should be mature enough to, like, okay, what do you say? Okay, let's take a step back. Let's respond in love. And so that's what the Bible says. And that's so true in a marriage as well. So, okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of my Q&As. It'll probably be my last one until I get some more questions from you guys. I'm excited for another giveaway coming up here real soon. So you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you guys again tomorrow. Okay, bye.